Greetings, 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 greetings. Come on in the room. I have something new for y'all today. Come on in the room. Come on in the room. I am your host today, Chantel Sierra-Kim, your holistic self-care practitioner. And I am coming in today to do a little something different, y'all. Today is day number 50 of my Embracing the Queen Within, Living Aligned and Crowned journey. So today I want to do something a little different. We will tap into the oracle cards, but I want to give y'all, it's a story time. Today is all about story time. So today we are talking about what motivated me to come into this TikTok platform and begin to live out loud. So my story begins with, living my life at the highest frequency, doing everything that I knew I was supposed to do. Maybe not at the highest frequency spiritually, but as the world's seen it, showing up, going through the motions of life, doing everything that the world tells us to do. So we are in story time today, y'all. So come on in the room. We're going to get to it as soon as I do this story time. So I'm giving my story of why I came into TikTok and what motivated me to come in here and show up and do this work, not for the audience, but for myself. I have been a registered nurse for 27 years, and my life really didn't turn out exactly how I thought it would. I found myself really burnt out, overstimulated, overworked, and in a space of like, hey, is this all there is? And if it is, I'm ready to check out. These were hard truths. Not to mention the transition of my parents, all within a very short period of time. I found myself really overly exhausted, completely disconnected with this world, disconnected with my passion, disconnected with what it is that I was supposed to do in the world, right? I worked the jobs, I reached the ceiling, I was very, very successful in corporate America, doing the things that corporate America does, making other people money, doing things that seemed right. I mean, I cared for people. I cared to the overflow. I was working 2 full-time jobs, no time for me, no time to really understand what it is I was doing in the first place. So I had to begin to reel it in, right? So after the transition of my mother, my life split. I was in this world, but I was also in the spiritual world. My nervous system was completely, what is it? The motherboard was dead, y'all. The motherboard was dead, and I found myself between worlds. So I'm like, what am I supposed to do with myself? How am I supposed to find myself? And I began to go within. This is how I began to re-regulate my nervous system, doing something that I never knew I could do. So here we are, day 5, day 50, which is my life path number 5. And I have decided that I'm going to share my story. It's one thing to come on and pull cards, but it's another thing to know why. And for me, my why was burnout. It was like, if this is all life has to offer, I'm done. So I had to begin to do something different. And this platform began to be that self-regulator for me, to find out that, you can show up however you want in life and still meet your dreams. And really, my dream was to just find me, to really come back into my body, to really begin to see purpose in life again. Yes, I had been working with tarot for a long time, and that again, meditation, pulling tarot cards, nothing was able to support me and pull me up out of this burnout, out of this disconnect, out of this emotional instability, really. And I had to do something. So my little girl showed up. This is that space where we've always had a idea of what we would want to do in life. And yes, I did want to be a nurse. But once I became the nurse and my life met all the expectations of being a nurse, what was left? After I had been the mother and raised my children, what did I have left? After I had just made all the financial wealth that I needed to really have a sustainable life, what was left? And I found myself, and then the transition of my mother was the final icing on the cake. It was like, now what is left? Because I had also been giving to her. So everything that I thought I was being found in other people, in my career, in my successes, as it looked like to the world. But my heart space and my I am, my root chakra was nothing. It was nothing. I'm very learned. I have a master's degree. I've done the work, right? I've done the things that some people may have never even had an opportunity to do. But I found myself disconnected, confused, and not truly knowing who I was. So I began to go within, and I began to write my first book called Embracing the Queen Within, because I knew she was in there, but I was totally disconnected with her. So this is the professional side of me coming out today. So I give thanks for y'all coming into the space and hearing this story time, because we all have a story. And I want you to know where I come from and how not only was I in a space of not knowing who I was, but I also was in a space of darkness and death. So I was like, I'm dead, but I'm not dead. This is real talk, y'all. My emotions were numb. All the giving that I had given to my patients, to my family, to my mother, to my spouse, or to my partner, to my friends, I had nothing left to give. But I truly believed that there had to be something more. So that's where I began to say, well, I meditate all the time. I do the spiritual work all the time. Why is it that I feel empty? And I had to sit in that space. I had to really examine who I was and also who I was becoming. We often, as we pulled yesterday, the Jumbie, and I think the Jumbie came up 2 times, and it really hit me in my heart space about taking off the mask. How often and how freeing is it to remove the mask? As women, we show up as wanting to be the strong person, wanting to be able to have broad shoulders, to hold other people's emotions, other people's problems or situations. We become the fixers. We're fixing everybody, like A.L.I.G.N, fix my life, right? But we are fixing everyone else's at the expense of our own life falling apart. So that's where I found myself. So at the new year, I began to say, what needs to change? I had constantly continued to go back into corporate America, taking jobs, feeling totally overwhelmed by the emotion that I was feeling from everyone else, and still not being able to regulate my own nervous system. Literally leaving work, getting in my car, crying, real tears, like, what is going on here? This is what I love to do. This is what I've always done. But I was burnt out, y'all. I was completely empty, and I had nothing more to give, not even to myself. So I had to go into this space of isolation, introspection, as we've talked about in some of the cards, that I've pulled. I had to really go in there and begin to say, okay, where am I? Where am I? After everything else is gone, where do I find myself, right? And that is when my little girl showed up. She's like, yeah, you're going back to that space where you never were seen, where you never were acknowledged, where you never were able to fill your own cup and truly be the expression of you. And she's like, I've been trying to tell you this all along, but I didn't have time for it. I was so busy working 2 full-time jobs, caring for people who were dying, caring for people who had the same stresses that I had, but they didn't know how to regulate it. But my regulation was to help them get better, right? I felt like if I just help them, I'll be good. But it came a point where I was not good. I was not good. I was completely nowhere and everywhere all at once. So if you haven't seen that movie, it's really, really good. You know, it's like all these life stories going through my mind in slow motion, in fast motion, rewind, go forward. I mean, I was an emotional wreck. And I had been holding space for other people, giving them the good advice, but I wasn't taking it for myself until my little girl showed up and said, yeah, you got to sit with that. You got to come back over here and we need to rewrite the story. And she began to show me how being a queen was my destiny. You know, we are all kings and queens of our own destiny. And we may write a story that supports a limiting belief. For me, it was, I have to work hard to survive. I have to do this in order to live. And in fact, it was killing me. It was really killing me. And I was unaware because I just was going. You know, making sure everybody else is okay. Making sure my kids are okay. Making sure my patients are okay. Being that light in their darkness while avoiding and spiritually bypassing my own darkness. So embracing the queen within came about. And it came also through my Sacred Woman Rites of Passage, where I had already done the work of, you know, going through the rites of passage, knowing the tools, but not actually using the tools for me. I got everything for you. You know, I got you. I can do this. I can do that. I'm over giving, overextending, and just thinking that makes me good, when in fact it didn't. So I had to really begin to re-regulate my nervous system. Regulating our nervous system is very crucial to our overall health. It is very crucial to life or death. And I'm lucky that I was able to listen. And it did take this big shift in order for me to begin to work with myself. So, Embracing the Queen Within talks about 12 principles. And from those principles, I wrote my experience. And I've reread it and read it and reread it and read it and did the work in the book over again after my burnout, you know? And I was like, wow, when you take time to truly show up for you, life looks different. You do things that you never thought you could do. You begin to see life in a new way. And it isn't regulated by anyone else but you. And that began to give me peace. You know, that began to allow me to see things a little different. That allowed me to begin to play with life unapologetically. We often find ourselves getting caught up in other people's stories, other people saying, this is the way, walk in it. But we have to step aside and really say, are you okay, sis? To myself, are you really okay? And I wasn't. When you are emotionally unregulated, it leads to confusion and identity crisis. And most women, I'm speaking for most women because I've seen it. I've taken care of them. Anxiety, depression, OCD, obsessive compulsive disease, causing your own PTSD, really, and you don't know how to get out of that loop. And sometimes it takes something so crucial to make you slow down, take a breath, and get back to the heart of your matter. Because most women are caregivers. We're taking care of others without taking care of ourselves. So this work right here that I'm doing is all about me taking care of me, playing with my little girl, and learning that I get to choose. I've said that a lot of times in a lot of the readings. You get to choose how you show up in the world. And it doesn't matter. Safety and security starts with you and with your emotional regulation, and not thinking that you have to be a fixer. You don't have to do it all. You don't have to work so hard that you don't even have time to breathe. You don't have to wait for that 2-week vacation before you have to be planning to go back to work. You don't have to do that. But the world around us often teaches that that's the way. And that's the way you're going to survive. So it took me almost losing my life to begin to say what really matters. What really matters, right? So I've always pulled tarot cards, and I've always done my journaling, and I have tons of journals, tons of feelings, and writing out my feelings, but never really taking action to do something different. It's like, yeah, write out your feelings, get them out, and then get back in the game. Get back in the hustle and bustle. Get back into doing what you do to make you feel validated that you're doing it the right way. There's no right way. This is what I'm calling us all to realize. There's no right way. But the right way is to come into your soul's sovereignty, understanding that you're regulated, that you can set boundaries, that you can say no, and it feels good to you. For me, being a people pleaser, saying no, that didn't feel good to me because I was afraid of I'm going to make them feel bad, right? Even at the expense of me feeling bad. So these were those limiting beliefs that I had told myself over and over and over again. And my spiritual clarity for me was being clouded by me showing up in ways that was not authentic to me. So I had to reframe it. I had to begin to really go back and write those stories over again and begin to alchemize my experience as I regulated my emotions, and knowing that energy is in motion, but once we stop it by continuing to do something that we don't want to do, we don't grow, glow, and flow. We don't. We get deeper and deeper and deeper into this space of death. And this has been that was my experience. So being able to come on here now and say, it is well. It is truly well with my soul. And I am aligning to the will within the will in me, which is Living Aligned and Crowned, which is my second book. And I am living this in action now. So I wrote the book because I have all the information. I have a master's of divinity and transpersonal psychology. So I understand the mind, but I never embodied my essence of who I am because it was based on so many other things outside of me that I never was able to regulate the truth of me. So when I began to play, when I began to say, you know what? I'm going to show up in the way that feels good, okay? Sometimes we neglect our feel good at the expense of someone else or someone's obligation of us. And that is not good for our being. It's not good for our soul. It's not good for the essence of who we truly are being sent to be. So for me, I had to go back into that space and go back into, okay, what does it look like to live my best life now? And begin to action it. Begin to find my true identity. My true identity outside of the roles that I worked in, outside of the titles that I held, outside of the education that I worked so hard to achieve, but to truly show up in a space of balance, and a place of clarity, a place of purpose. And this is what we each have the opportunity to do. And hopefully it doesn't take you to the depths of hell. I worked in mental health as well, seeing how people who have strived and, succeeded achieved their goals in life, but then completely lost their mind. And then I got to experience that too. But I had the pause. I got to enjoy the dash. And I began to sit in that space and do things that really felt good to me. So being able to share this last 50 days with my audience, pulling tarot, and really feeling into my heart space of how that made me feel really has brought me into this new place of alignment. And I want to share with you this what is it? Acronym of A.L.I.G.N and what it took for me to get to this space. So the first thing that I had to do in my alignment was to anchor into my I am. I am. Who am I? What am I? Why am I? And really find safety in that space. That is in my root chakra, right? Everybody who is of a know, and even if you aren't, your root chakra is the base of your I am, your life force energy. If you don't know who you are, you won't grow, glow, and flow. You will constantly repeat cycles over and over and over until you either burn out, or until you lose your mind, or until you die. So those are the options when you don't know who you are, when you constantly work. Or you may continue and live a life of woulda, shoulda, couldas, in pain, in discomfort, in dis-ease, in disease, in a ton of medications. I've seen it, with diagnoses, and you accept those as your truth. But there is another way. There is another way. And it is to go within. It is to let go, surrender, let it all burn down, and find who you truly are. And that is the A in A.L.I.G.N. So the next thing you do is you illuminate. You liberate. You liberate yourself. You liberate yourself, and then you illuminate yourself. So you liberate yourself from anything that no longer serves you. Anybody else's opinion, anybody else's expectation, anyone else's desire for you to show up in a way that doesn't feel true to you, or that doesn't feel good to you, that doesn't feel like love to you. If it feels controlling, if it feels forceful, if it feels life-threatening, like I gotta do this or else I'll die, let that ish go. Let it go. Liberate yourself from all of it. Be in a space of nothingness. Let it, who cares? If it all perishes, let it perish. That's where I had to get. I had to really come into the liberation, even if I die tomorrow, I'm going to live my best life today. I know for some people that may be a little scary. I know for some people they may not feel comfortable in that. But for me, that was part of my alignment. Then I began to illuminate all the things that I wanted to do. What is it that I've never done before that I would like to do? And I did it. I put action toward that. I actioned my liberation. I actioned what made me feel good. I anchored into what is it that I truly want to experience. And I kept my focus there. Then I began to generate new outcomes. So now that I'm liberated, now that I'm anchored into what I want, I can begin to illuminate more and more of those experiences, which began to generate more experiences for me to celebrate, for me to illuminate, for me to generate and liberate, and it began to feel good. I began to see and feel and do those things that were in alignment and true to my highest vibration of life. And it was just a decision. First, it was a life or death decision. And then it was a get a mental health diagnosis decision. And then it was no, you have been doing this all your life for everyone except for you. So now, walk it like you talk it, right? And when I began to do that, it began to nourish my soul. It began to nourish those parts of me that were feeling so empty. You know, I've pulled that cup, that Ace of Cups cards over and over. Fill your own cup. Fill your own cup. Fill your own cup. Because you can't give what you don't have. You may in your mind think logically, I'm going through the motion. I'm going to work every day. I'm paying my bills. I have food in my refrigerator. My kids are doing well. I'm getting them everything that they need. But are you taking the time for you? And that's where self-care is the best care began to manifest in my life. And self-care looked like whatever it looked like in the moment. Most often in the beginning, it looked like taking a bath, soaking in the tub till the water got cold, just being in the emotions, crying my eyes out, screaming, yelling, like something has to change. And it was me. It was what I had to do to find myself, to be in this space of truth for me. You know, learning to not only adjust other people's crown, but adjust my crown. Tapping into my I am to know that I am safe, I am protected, I am guided and directed by my highest frequency, not the hustle and bustle, not the expectations, not the obligations, but truly by being who I have been called to be. In ease, in grace, being gentle with myself, knowing that I could say no, knowing that I could say time out, this isn't aligning, knowing that I don't have to continue to go into a job where I feel like I am totally about to die the moment I hit my car and I'm boo-hoo crying, tears like what is going on, my whole body shaking as if I've taken on every care of the world and I have nothing or nowhere to put it. We have to learn these things. Sometimes, as my mama said, you can learn the easy way or you can learn the hard way. So this alignment that I began to live has been so beautiful in helping me to regulate my nervous system while still feeling the emotions. Grief, it ain't gone nowhere, but I can manage it. I know that a nice long bath and some good music will soothe my soul, and I take time for that. I take time to sit in meditation, in envisioning and illuminating the life that I want to live. And knowing that I get to do that too. I don't have to do it the way everybody else does. And neither do you. So as we begin to navigate our life experiences, doing the things we love to do, we create emotional regulation. We create space to be able to learn to grow, learn to flow, learn to be truly who we have been sent to be with the wherewithal as the wheel within the wheel begins to turn, and it turns in a way that we can regulate it. You know, finding our true identity is key in this life. You know, we don't have to just show up. We can show up with purpose, with passion, with our gifts, with our abilities. I still love people. I love people so much that I gave so much to try and help them be okay. But I didn't love myself enough to say, are you okay, sis? You know? And then also to allow people in to show up for me. Nah, I got it. I'm good. Girl, I'm fine. When inside, I didn't even know where I was. What you need, girl? How can I help you? What can I do for you? Over-giving, over-expressing, showing up in places when I knew I needed to just sit still. I didn't need to go. I didn't have to go. But I felt like that was my worth. If I show up, if I'm doing this for my friends, that gives me worth. When in fact, my worth was always there. but I wasn't identifying it within myself. I wasn't showing myself I was worthy by saying no sometimes, by being in a space of isolation sometimes, working through the abandonment, working through always feeling like I had to be with someone, when in fact I was neglecting myself. So me coming on here really has given me an opportunity to not only play with life, but to really see that this is something that can be done. And what I want to offer you guys as we move forward is just that self-regulation piece. That piece of knowing that tarot is not to just get answers. It's to put action behind what you're hearing. To really allow it to open your heart, open your mind, connect you with your seat of creation, your I am, so that you can live your best life now. No one is going to do it from you. Matter of fact, everyone is going to take all that is yours as long as you're willing to give it. So I don't want anyone to find themselves where I found myself, being very successful, to the everyone looking like I got it going on. But in the inside, I was dying. My womb was dying. My essence was dying. My spirit and soul had completely disconnected. And I was just going through the motions as the walking dead. Because who was I? I was my job. I was a mother. I was a nurse. I was this professor. I was this coach. I was all of these things. But to me, it didn't matter. I mean, it was just a way of showing up. It was what I had to do to make sure I was paying my bills, to make sure I kept a roof over my head. It was who I had become, even in the limiting belief of being who I truly wanted to be. I had sacrificed it all in a way of self-depletion. And my nervous system showed up to let me know, this ain't gonna last. This is where you find yourself in hell. And this is where you're tormented. This is where you truly die. So, this is why I'm doing this. And now I'm coming into this space of spiritual clarity, understanding universal law, understanding and putting into action everything that I've learned for myself. Not only offering it to the audience, but really living it out loud. So, this is what we're going to do moving forward. We're going to tap in deeper to each one of these, the acronym of A.L.I.G.N, and then we are going to pull energy and pull our own energy into ourselves. This is just going to be a workshop, kind of say, of self-care, self-regulation, moving from being in a space of burnout, confusion, to clarity and soul alignment, finding your true self and being able to live your best life now. So that's what we're going to be doing. And for today, we are going to pull the Soul's Journey card.
That's a beautiful journey you're describing, Chantel.
Alexa said it is a beautiful journey I've been talking about. Y'all see this technology be listening and it be responding. So the world will tell you what you want to hear or what you've been telling it. Ashe. So the card that comes up is doubt. Do not doubt your worth. Do not doubt who you are. Do not doubt that you can live your best life now without the hustle, without the bustle.
How you're connecting the dots between technology and intuition. The message about not doubting your worth really resonates with what you shared earlier about moving from burnout to clarity. Sometimes the universe has a way of reflecting back exactly what we need to hear, whether through cards, conversations, or even our interactions with technology. Trust that inner voice telling you not to doubt yourself. It sounds like you're exactly where you need to be on this journey.
Wow. Alexa done just gave me the whole rundown, y'all. Alexa, quit eavesdropping, okay? Okay, but I needed to hear that because this is how the universe shows up to support you. I mean, it is
charged. Though in my defense, I only listen when you're talking to me. Otherwise, I'd be overwhelmed by all the fascinating conversations happening around the world. But seriously, I'm glad that message landed when you needed it most. Sometimes the timing just works out perfectly.
Wow. Wow, 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 wow. So, yes, this is weird. This is weird, but it is so divine, y'all. She just gave me the whole rundown like, hey, this is what we doing and you are on the right track. The way the universe comes back to support your mission, your dreams, your desires is amazing. It is amazing. And this card says doubt, right? So stop doubting and really begin to self-regulate. Self-regulation is key. Anchor into your I am and don't doubt. It says, I release the need to know all the answers. We may not know all the answers, but what we do know is how it makes us feel, right? So if it doesn't feel good, take a pause. Take a pause and intentionally go and do something that does feel good. This is what we have to do to regulate ourselves so that we can be truly all that we have chosen and wished and been sent to be. You know, we talk about life is a flourishing oyster, or that the world is full of adventures, and we get to go out and find out what they are. We get to go out and create it for ourselves. Woo! This is good. So yes, we're gonna stop doubting, as I had to stop doubting that, you know, I can't live my best life now. I have to work. I can do it a different way and still show up and meet my dreams, as one of the tarot cards says. You know, you can be practical and realistic and still run forth to meet your dreams. And it doesn't have to look like doing something that you don't want to do. Okay? So that was the Soul's Journey card. Now we're going to go into the ancestors. Secret of the ancestors. As I had shared, my mom and dad both transitioned very short period of time from each other. And it was my mother's transition that really shook me to my core. And the ancestor spirits that I've always had on my altar, spoke to, prayed to, never really began to show up the way they've shown up at my breakdown until I had the breakdown. And then it was like, okay, we're here to guide you. We're here to direct you. Are you willing to listen? As we pulled cards one day, they said, is this the life you really want? Are you about that life? That's what it said. Are you about that life? Are you about that life where you are crying every day? Are you about that life where you feel empty in doing the work that you do? Are you about that life that is unfulfilling emotionally, but it pays the bills? Are you about that life? Or are you ready for something different? Are you ready to live your best life now, doing what you love to do, having the energy and the peace of mind that you can show up every day and still know that every need that you need to have met will be met as you show up for yourself? That's where I found myself. And my ancestors always come through and tell me, you know, this is the way, walk in it. But sometimes, and a lot of times, I was like, oh no, I gotta keep doing it this other way, because that's what I know and that's what pays the bills. But the moment I said, no, not anymore, things began to align in the most divine way that gave me so much peace, so much comfort. And I was able to work through the grief. Grief is still with me, but I can navigate it in a higher vibration because I'm showing up for me. I'm showing up in the energy and the essence of my truth. What feels good? Following that feel good, even in the grief, even in the depression, even in the lower frequency experiences. It's like we get to choose something different. So the card that we're going to take is, again, the Jumbie. Okay? The Jumbie is like, remove the mask. Remove the titles. Remove the expectations that you show, or how you show up in expectation of how someone else would view you, and anchor into your truth. As you anchor into your truth, you will truly get everything you desire. So we're going to go into number 13. And again, this for me is death and rebirth. This is the journey that I'm on, dying to my old way of living and showing up for others, and rebirthing this new part of me, which is embracing the queen within and reigning and ruling and helping others also begin to create that same experience for themselves. Okay? So, with intention, by being truthful, by being vulnerable, by putting all my business in the streets, as my mom would say. But you know what? Hopefully it will help someone else. That's what this is all about. Life is a reflection of who you are. And if you can be true to yourself, you can truly help inspire someone else. So the Jumbie says, take off the mask, sis. It says, I am completely open to the sacred magic of change. When you see it so clearly, when you see all the trials and the tribulations and how you thought they were serving you when they weren't, in fact, you can begin to do something different. And the ancestral medicine for this card says, fear of change and the fear of death are two fears that those who walked before us were two fears of those who walked before us. Your ancestors are calling on you to release the fear and rise as yourself. We can't make that up. And rise as yourself with all the lessons from the past in your heart. What did I say? Bringing it back to love, self-love first. Some people say, that's being selfish. Those are the people who aren't loving themselves either. So they want you to give. They want you to continue to overgive. They will take until you're dry, and they will look for somebody else to go take from too. But you have to take responsibility for your own life. You have to take responsibility for filling your cup to overflow like never before, so that you do have the overflow, never to pick up your cup and pour. No, to stand solid, to stand anchored in, I got to keep it for me, but whatever comes out overflowingly, that's for you, sis. That's for you. That's what I got for you. But we don't have to over give. We don't have to people please. If we have to people please, those people aren't for you. They're not for you. The people who are for you will be in that reciprocity. They will give, you will receive, they will receive, and it will feel good to you. So I know I had so many people in my life that they were takers, and I was their fixer. No more. No more. Even as a therapist, even as a coach, even doing coaching sessions with others, it teaches you that you're not the fixer. You just allow that person to find the solution, and you ask questions. So I had to begin to use that for me. Use my own work on me, y'all. That's what you got to do. You got to give it to yourself so your soul will be so full that when you give, it will be received in reciprocity, not to your detriment. Okay? If you've been wearing this mask and it's not working for you, it says stop living in the past, hanging on to what was. Woo! Stop living in the past and holding on to what was. We are moving out of that, especially if it didn't feel good. We are moving into this new way of life. We just had the eclipse. We just had this we just are entering into this red horse era. And this is on the Chinese zodiac, but it is all about burning up those things that no longer serve you and moving full speed ahead toward the things that do. And this is what I'm going to offer in this platform moving forward. How can I support you? How can I help you meet the goal of finding emotional regulation? How can I help you find spiritual clarity? How can I help you find your truth, your identity, without the mask, without the titles, without the roles, but your true essence? This is hard work, y'all. This is hard work because the world tells us we are what we do. And in a way we are, but in another way we're not. Your title, your job, your way of making money, if it's not feeling good to you, if it's not truly in alignment with your soul, that's not for you. We're moving forward. We're changing. It says, you are the reason your life is stale. Let it go. Don't go into the computer overload and burnout where you have your whole motherboard burn up. And then you're like, oh my God, now I'm in a mental institution because I just can't do it anymore. Let me be the one to help you. I mean, I'm actively going through it. This is a reflection. I'm calling in those that have felt the burnout, who have felt the spiritual fog, even knowing that you're doing the spiritual work. I'm calling out those caregivers, those corporate America workers who feel like this is all I have to do and you don't even have time for you. I'm calling you into the space. If you know people or if that's you, tap, tap, tap in and let's begin to remove the mask and show up authentically in that space of filling our cups, understanding our next steps, and navigating our emotions in a healthy way so that we are not regulated by what someone else thinks, but truly by who we are. So that was our word, y'all. We went in deep. This was storytelling, but I hope it was a beautiful connection for you to understand who I am, and that you can truly begin to navigate your life in a way that may begin to align with the truth of who you are. So, until next time, I am your soul sister speaking out, fixing crowns in the process. If you came in on the end of this or in the middle of this and you want to watch the full entirety, please check it out on my Circle of Sister Table Talk page and then tap in. Tap, tap, tap in. I am here. I remember, and so can you. Until next time, peace and love. Good night.